At this time, everybody's in attendance, so there's no regrets for tonight. And now we're going to pause to seek guidance. Okay, now I'd like to have approval of the agenda. Have a motion, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And tonight we have one presenter, Mr. Thomas Haynes Payton, chairperson of the St. Mary's Bay Community Center Society. Can I have a motion for Mr. Payton?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tom? Mike's all yours.
We actually have two presenters, Christy Heron.
Okay. And just to let you know, like, we have 10 minutes or so, and tonight we want to hear from what you have to say, but at a future date, we're going to be looking at expressions of interest at that time. We haven't got the report back from staff yet from the public meeting, but so we're here to hear what you have to say.
So in future date, we're going to have.
We haven't decided on any date yet when we're going to have that yet.
Is that going to be a more public meeting? Not more public, but
it'll all be public.
People can respond.
Yes.
To the various interests.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that possibility.
Tom, they want you to use the mic prior to recording.
Forgive me if I sit down for this. Good evening, Warden, Deputy Warden, members of Council, municipal staff, fellow members of the St. Mary's Bay Community Center Society, ladies and gentlemen. I am Tom Haynes Payton, chair of our society made up of a board of 15, ages 18 to 82, and a roster of 281 members at large who signed on in support of our program. And with me is fellow board member Christy Heron, who will present our business plan. Medical research has documented that throughout our province, there's a serious epidemic of clinical loneliness. Youth may respond to loneliness through the addiction to texting, in which they look to cyberspace for a gathering place, a chance to make friends, or worse, to drugs. We adults may well respond with the addiction of illness and the frequenting of the emergency room as a gathering place, with the result, unfortunately, that we also get our drugs. 6 of our community's favorite social drop-ins to relieve loneliness have been permanently shut down. An example of this is Eric's Garage in Clinton, in which for many years dozens of men would gather for chat, for tea, and for a game of pool. But Eric himself was never found in that group. He was down in the grease pit repairing somebody's car who had to get to work to their minimum wage job, and he, on a shoestring, was doing repair. This made the perfect definition of a community center: fellowship, service, and an economic element that helps the community to sustain itself. But our plans for Barton School and land use, which are 4 months and many minds in the making, promise a bright and prosperous future with daily age-inclusive activities proactively promoting our community's health and welfare. Christy Heron, a longtime friend, accepted the board's request to help with our business plan. This plan is an amazing collaboration effort of our society's 281 members at large. The future and with it our community-wide hopes and prayers, rests, counselors, in your good hands and hearts. We thank you for your consideration of our community's hopes and dreams and awesome talents. And so, all of us graciously offer to you, counselors, for your kind consideration, our collective wish that the Barton building and lands be returned to the people of the community to create a permanent, sustainable gathering place, connecting our community back to its center. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. I'm relatively late to the post with this initiative. I was approached by Tom actually in the grocery store and asked me to put this stuff together for him. I would love to show some of you my email box, not Gmail. And this plan is a culmination of many people's hopes, dreams, wishes, asks, and desires. It was very difficult to put it into this succinct document because there have been multiple public meetings which I was not in attendance for, some of them, and there also were multiple inputs to other members of the board. So I would ask you, because you've got a big document in front of you, you've got a lot of financial projections and that kind of thing, I just want to do a little overview for you. I will point out that I projected our revenues based on the Conference Board of Canada's inflation rate, which is 1.61%. However, you'll note that I used 2%. As far as food cost goes, again, Conference Board of Canada, we're saying 1.9, 2.1. I calculated it at 4%. Okay? So I have overestimated our expenditures, and I have left our revenues relatively stable. So there is a little dichotomy there in that what I was trying to do was saying, you know, we know we're realistic in terms of expenses, but we're also being hopefully realistic with respect to revenues. I would ask you, in the document you have, and by the way, Municipal Council got colored copies. Everybody else has black and white. I'd like you to turn to this document, or this piece of the document, as in the second page. And I think it's a wonderful representation of what we've been able to put together. You will note that everything kind of revolves around the kitchen and the cafe. Cafe, nature programs, and other programs. You'll also note that within the context of the line diagram, we have everything connected to everything else. The vision statement is here, as is our mission statement. The purpose statement for the business plan is there as well. And in the executive summary, and I say mine, but it's our executive summary, I wish we had a demographic study, but StatsCan, because of what happened with StatsCan, we really don't have the demographics we need to. I had to rely on what the community was telling me they wanted, needed, or wished for. So this is what we came up with. Groups for mothers and parents, senior engagement, life enhancement programs and activities, wellness enhancement with workshops and programs, accessible social community spaces, community gardens and our community kitchen, youth engagement programs, and that was key, including we've had MOUs of people who are willing to provide educational programs for our youth, not only in language and music, but in survival and in traditional industries like woodworking and gardening and things like that. The nature program for all ages and accessible walking trails. One of the things that is distinctly obvious to me, because I have a number of friends that have mobility issues, that we in the municipality have very few level ground places where individuals who have mobility deficits and or visual deficits can walk and enjoy our natural beauty. Acacia Valley being just one. And the idea of having something where people could sort of wander around and look at the ocean and see our community would be very, very helpful. I spoke briefly with, by the way, Jonathan Riley is a wonderful asset. He gave me some suggestions of non-official level ground walking trails, and I'm very appreciative of that because it was very helpful. But this is something that this group is looking to do as well. We also are going to support this with a social enterprise. And I'm sure you're familiar with the social enterprise because we already have one on the Digby Neck that's doing very well. And the social enterprise, of course, is food, a collective gathering of food. Within the context here, we do not have a personal financial statement at this time because we are a society and relied on donations and memberships. We can certainly, at the appropriate time when you're asking for proposals, provide our bank account information and that kind of thing. Okay. We are a community-based society. The Barton School was integral to the community. We're hoping that we will be able to use that again as a community gathering place. As you look through, you'll see youth and child programs, senior activities and programs, community spaces, wellness enhancement. We've also reached out to organizations like CNIB, CPA, the Canadian Paraplegic Association, CRCD, the Canadian Rehabilitation Council for the Disabled, to talk about making things more accessible. And we have also explored options to make the second floor truly accessible with an external elevator. And we've actually gotten some quotes and things on that as well. So you'll note that we're not calling programs senior programs because we are inclusive. And Rise and Shine and Tea for the Wise are primarily for individuals who are older. However, everybody's welcome. And the whole idea behind this concept is that everybody would be welcome, that it is totally inclusive, and merging the generations together so that they can learn from each other and move forward with each other. We have a phenomenal history, a phenomenal heritage here, and a heritage attached to the land and the sea. And at this community center, we hope will revitalize that sense of belongingness and that sense of community. We're also hoping this to be a stimulus for economic activity and also a stimulus for encouraging people to relocate here and to come and join us in our marvelous community. As I said, there's a lot to digest, and trust me, it took me a long time to put it all together. However, I know my time is brief here, and I'm sure that if you have any questions, I will point out that behind me, we have a structure with the society whereby we have committees responsible for each particular entity. We have a kitchen committee, we have a cafe committee, we have a youth committee, we have a seniors committee, and the chairs for all those committees are sitting behind me. So if anyone had any particular questions about any particular facet of what we're presenting, people that are expert in what they're put together, each one of them has put together their plan that I tried to sort of meld into this, but the document would have been this thick, and you would have, our printing costs would have been this thick. So again, if you have any questions and or concerns with respect to this, we are an incorporated society, and I'll point out that I was honored to have Tom ask me. I appreciate his confidence in me, and I was honored by the society to get all this information and put it together for you. Warden?
Thank you very much. Like I said, we're going to have to read through all this and digest it. But, and we will be having like an expression of interest coming forward. We haven't set no dates yet, okay. But at that time, then you come and do another presentation, and we would ask questions. We'd have a chance to digest this document. You may have some other stuff you want to add to it at that time, and that's fair game. But right now,
Mr. Warden, my only question is, if we have some questions on their revenues and their expenditures, who do we address it to? Like I can't do this tonight. I've got to go through it. So I would like to know.
I think we would do that when we have them come before us again for expression of interest. Like
Oh, okay.
once we've submitted the expression of
Okay.
interest, that's the formal process to do it. And at that time, we could have all this vetted at that time. Yes.
Warden, councillors and I know all too well the role that municipal councillors play. I also know the volume of work associated with it, extraneously, of course, because I've never been a councillor. I worked within the political context, and I'm well aware of the demands. I believe I'm well aware of the demands. If any one of you have any questions and or concerns, or you want to have something elaborated in any way, the society is fully open to that. Now, initially, if someone had specific questions, say about the Village Life Cafe, if you contacted me, I'm going to, we would refer you on to one of the chairs behind me. But if, with respect to anything in this, if you want something elaborated, even before the formal expression, because that will help us grow and develop, and we want to present the best we can.
Yeah. If we have questions, we can forward them to you, so that way you're prepared to answer them as well. So.
Precisely. And as I say, if someone wanted to meet with any one of our chairs, Lois has done an incredible amount of work with respect to senior programming, senior activities. This is not the Rise and Shine is an activity program. It's, yes, loved ones can stay there and have supervision or support, if you will, but it's not just to sit there and, there are activities planned and life-enhancing types of activities planned for that. And again, as I say, Lois has done a pile of work.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be in
Thank
touch.
you, councillors. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from May the 14th. All in favor? You've got the unfinished business from minutes of May the 14th. Is there anything? Do you have anything? Okay. The next is the CAO report. You've got the meeting dates and reminders. Is there any conflicts? Okay. And you've got the CAO update. Is there any questions for the CAO?
Oddly not. Hey, I was like 5 minutes on top of that.
Just a heads up at the COTW policy meeting on Monday, we'll be discussing the capital budget.
Anticipation, right?
Yeah.
Anticipation.
That's part of that.
I suppose. You're going to be asking us questions and remember from before. No.
Sure will.
Oh,
Yeah. Suck it up, buttercup.
No, stay.
Not all fun.
Okay, the only thing I wanted to mention is the fact when we were in Halifax at the FCM that Bridgewater was successful in getting the funding for the initiative, and I think everybody knows that. But so the proposal that we had submitted a letter of support to the town of Annapolis Royal that didn't go anywhere.
The Smart Communities.
The Smart Communities project.
Yeah, this is Bridgewater.
Bridgewater.
Well, they got the $250,000.
Wow.
That's just to do a study.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's what we were after.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Oh, well. Good
But-
for them.
They were the only, I think the only maritime.
They were in the
Yeah,
Maritime, Atlantic Canada.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I'm glad we named ourselves Northern Ontario.
business items, beautification and streetscaping pilot program. I read through that, and it's good, but unless one of our villages, we don't really have any streetscapes in the municipality other than, unless we want to consider Conway to be a streetscape.
Well, I was
But-
trying to think of it, like, we get the sidewalk, we get the,
Well, for the matter, like the minimum amount that we'd have to submit is $10,000 to this program, and the program is being funded by the province to the tune of $10,000 to $25,000. And so, yeah, so if we put in an application for 25,000, we'd have to match it, and we also have to submit a very in-depth report on what we're going to do, and then we have to file with another report after we're done, which is all well and good. But it doesn't give a person a lot of time to prepare something like this.
It's not a huge amount of money either,
No, it's like I said, it's probably $10,000 to do it.
but it didn't cost you that much.
One thing though, what I wanted to raise too, though, if this is an ongoing program they're going to have for next year, it'd be really good for us to talk to our villages about this to see if there's an interest on their part.
the only thing I can see is if we were gonna do something like that, and maybe, I don't know, the money could be used for like fixing up some of the, where they shape the road, like some of the entrances and stuff, it's all cracked and kind of tore away when you go into some of the entrances along Conway, it's bumpy, and some of that cement has eroded or cracked away, I mean, could you use it for that?
I think that would be considered beautification,
No.
and more of a maintenance of sidewalks. And this is more like of a down. ward,
And
so
that's
I
what I
think
read it as too.
The ward, and I think the only people that really have downtown cores are the villages.
Yeah, well,
And-
Westport,
yeah.
Newport, no, Tiverton, yes, Weymouth, yes.
Well, one other thought I had too,
Everybody.
and this is to help promote the whole municipality, if we ever decided to do this. But if we wanted to do through Conway and have like we did in Bear River, where you have the signage that goes on the poles, and it promotes, so we could be promoting the islands, we could promote whale watching, we could promote Bear River, Weymouth, the whole region, right? And we could, Point Pram and the lighthouses, and you could do that on these here, placards that would go on. You take them down in the wintertime and put them up in the summer. And you could also put potentially flower pots out there, with, just to try to make it look nice. But that's just a thought.
You have also active groups you can work with, like in Westport and Tiverton, like, we did on our own, we got donations of paint, we painted a bunch of buildings, Westport's doing similar things.
Yeah, so what's the council's thoughts on this?
How soon do we have to submit by?
The deadline's coming right up.
Well, I don't think we have time this year. It's coming
I
right
think
up.
we can try.
Well, there's something that Weymouth or.
Weymouth does it.
I feel like Westport, Weymouth does though.
I think if you look at the criteria, you have to have a beautification plan in place.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Before
thinking.
that,
It's gonna
you
be
can't
too-
just go after the money without some plan.
Yeah.
And it's not in our budget, it's not in our council priorities, so
too short of time.
I think we need to, focus on our priorities, and if this is something that we wanna do, then we wanna do it right, not just put something together quickly, get money that.
I've been willing to work for this for next year, and there is a couple of groups already doing this sort of thing. Weymouth has one with the flowers, and so does Westport. Yeah, the signage is a real good idea, but that's not something we can put together.
It's not something for marketing, it's more for enhancing places where tourism, like core businesses go. It's like a streetscape downtown business.
I saw the little graph they had for suggestions. I felt like that would fit in very well.
It says eligible costs include signage, beautification fixtures such as baskets, banners, benches, bike racks, waste receptacles, planters, flowers, and planters. They got planters there twice. Planting of shrubs and trees, lighting, building facade, kiosks and other amenities directed to a tourism audience, beautification and streetscaping plans, contracted labor, non-staff, and professional services. So, I think, we could maybe inquire to see whether this is a program that's going to be offered again next year. And, because there is the deadline on it.
Well, all volunteer groups up to the next, because this is when they all sort of start doing stuff down now too. I can talk to some people about it.
So the deadline is on Friday, June 22nd.
Thank you, everybody. With the grade, you'll do it.
So, what's the feeling of council? Do we inquire about the program
Inquire
for
about
next year?
I agree with what you said, Jimmy, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion on that? It's just consent. Okay, Nova Scotia Young Guns Hockey Team funding request. I saw that, and it doesn't really fit the criteria of our program. There no, because it's these three youth are going to a hockey tournament. It's not something through the school system with the.
It has to be the school system. What about the sporting system? I was thinking.
The only thing I can think of is if they went through DARK and asked if there was any funds through DARK for initiatives like this, and I don't know if there is or not. I mean.
On Dark, you know anything on Dark? You've been there since before I was born. I'm there with you now. Anything like that?
I don't think jump there, you have to.
Is it
Linda.
Jumpstart program?
Yeah,
That'd be just about it, eh?
that would
I
be,
said to give it a try. I didn't think it met the criteria. But next year I'd love to revisit that criteria for the 18th time.
Possibly.
that would be the place to go, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, Dark. Do I just forward that email to you guys? Or is that adequate, or should she add more stuff to it? It's,
Well, she's gonna have to send us a budget.
okay.
Without a budget, we can't look at it.
There's my managers, Billy, with some teams that are helping out with setup and stuff.
Yes.
Through minor
So-
hockey.
But, yeah,
That's
but,
in my office.
but this is a minor, this is hockey.
It's hockey, but I did some research on it. Young Guns is a program I went to the website, after Atlantic Selects program, so I think what they would do is they select high-end members.
Who's the best three in the area?
Best three in the area to be put on this Young Guns team, and then they're traveling, I think, to the state. So I think what they're looking for is travel money.
Oh, okay.
Just from what I can,
There's nothing we could stick it on, because they didn't have something for like a sponsorship or.
Based on what I'm reading, like what they've submitted, like it doesn't fit any criteria where we could fund it or give a grant or anything.
Any suggestions on how to?
I still think that, you know, they talk to Bob Powell at the Recreation Commission and find out whether there's any programs that he knows of.
The only other place that I could tell you that you could go to and ask would be the Masons.
Masons? I also make a little list here.
And also.
What about the Lions?
Yeah, I don't know if that would fit, but the Masons it might. Mason, I'm going on July 3rd and receiving money for camp treasure chest for a child to attend. Camp treasure chest is,
I'm also thinking of the
camp
Legion,
for people with
Legion, you get lots of money down the aisle. All right, could you send me contact information for the Masons?
Larry Black.
Larry Black?
Yeah. He's in the phone
Hill
book
Grove.
under Digby, who's in Hill Grove.
And he'll like, you'd have to write a letter to the Masons.
Oh, of course.
But Larry can give you all the information. The other person that can give you information is Richard Perry, who lives in Digby. But Larry Black is the head mate.
And I also figure I could ask a couple local businesses for $100. Live and things like that. Yeah, they're all.
Okay.
All right, thank you for the advice. I'll pass it on.
The next thing is the Tiverton Village Commission funding request. I've read this. It's not a request from the Village Commission. It's a letter of support for an arts group. The arts group has not applied for funding.
He doesn't have a bank account, and the village said that they could use theirs because it's been going on in the village bill.
Yeah, but they still haven't applied for funding. The Village Commission wrote a letter. It says right here, we're writing in support of a new group. It's a letter of support. It's what it is.
Need an actual letter request.
We need a request from this group, this arts group, and it's even you know, with the budget and what they're looking for. So.
You just to properly fill out the form on the website.
Yeah, it's got to come from that group, not from. It's great that the Village Commission supports it, and they've got a letter of support, but it's not an application coming to us for a community grant from that organization. So the way I took it anyways.
Yeah.
Anybody else feel any different?
I'll just, ask him to fill it out properly.
Submit it.
Yeah, he's a retiree, he's been really good with the kids and, the older folks too. Parent night, kid night, those are, so it's a good program. I'll just get him to fill it out. I'll go with him. I'll go help him out.
All right. The Trinity Anglican Church funding request, I'm gonna declare a conflict of interest, seeing my aunt is the warden and is the one that submitted the application, Peggy McAlpine, so I'm gonna step out and you can take over.
You all received the letter. They are asking us for $500. They have requested money in the past. I feel it's a good, that it actually is a good thing. So what is your pleasure?
I motion to, $500 for Trinity Church.
How much?
500 if they requested, but you are putting it forward to council. So you're still moving to.
So move to,
request of council.
request council to give $500 to the Trinity Church.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. George, you want to grab Jimmy, please?
Go ahead, you won't grab. Don't grab too bad.
You gave him $1. Back to you, sir.
Back to me. Okay, the next is the Digby Area Board of Trade Annual Awards, which is coming right up.
And we usually have attended this in the past. I know that Jimmy and I have both been asked because they want us to present trophies at the award.
Oh, we send you too.
Well, is there any of the other councils are.
I'm not available, actually.
Oh, I'm gonna, I'll see if we change it back in.
Make a motion.
I'll make one.
It's been nice.
I was looking at my calendar.
So my question is, before we do anything, sometimes in the past, the CAO has gone? Or deputy CAO? Yeah.
No,
So just before we,
I'm done here.
All right.
I'm going to get a table of 8 heads.
No.
Oh, for 2, I thought we were doing around 2.
There's nobody who wants to go.
Yeah, we can recognition for 2 and then perhaps one other or someone else.
Just saying.
Well, how about we say up to 4?
Well, I'm just thinking that if Dan Harvey or Terry Thibodeau,
Oh,
work
yeah.
closely with the business community, wanted to attend their staff.
That's what I mean,
But
so
that-
we should say up to 4.
But that would be the only stipulation. I would say
Yeah.
the 2 of us and possibly 2 staff.
What about 3? Jeff is,
He doesn't want to go. He's got another commitment.
all right.
He doesn't, not that he doesn't want to go. He's got another commitment.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I
I
think
know you too.
Dan works for the businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry doesn't work for the businesses, but Dan may, I mean, he's a little.
Do you look at the Rens website lately? You got Terry on it. Anyway,
Terry's on the,
so can we have a motion, can we have a motion then that, 2 from council and potentially 2 staff will attend?
so moved.
Any question, any other?
Oh, we already did.
He
I'm
was
sorry.
already making.
You made the motion, you seconded it. Is there any other questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, so the next good news is that we got some correspondence from Minister Levine regarding, the Community Cultures Heritage Program, and that we were receiving $14,671.45 to assist with the Heritage Home Inventory Database project.
Oh, good job, Rob.
So it's good to see that.
Yeah.
So,
I've been hearing positive things about our keeping the houses up, actually, in the community and how good the church went from the one of the churches. from both target groups, and they're very happy with it.
Okay, that's good. The next thing is an in-camera, so we have a personnel issue, so,
I suppose that we go in camera.
do I have a seconder?
So the
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.